We are live. Really excited to welcome Jashin Lin, founder of Growbie, the first career development platform focused on networking skills for first-generation immigrants, which is a really cool platform. So we want to hear more about that. This is episode 33. It's called Networking for First Generation Immigrants. Jashin, can you tell us before we dive into about Growbie and all that kind of stuff, can you tell us like what's one cool networking event you've been to recently?
Sure. Thank you, Jeff, and everyone for having me on this podcast. So over the weekend, I was at the Harvard Alumni Day. So it is every year. This is an event focusing on reunion for graduating classes. Usually it's in 5 years turn, but it's everyone can come back. So that was on a Friday, and I went. I think this is a really important moment for us to be together, just because we all know what happened to Harvard in the past month. A lot of difficult times and challenges, if you will. So I feel like this time, the networking is kind of beyond your usual, let's connect with new people, but also like solidarity, standing together to fight for the cause and principles that we firmly believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is a very cool event. I did not go, but I got a bunch of notes about it this week. But awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about Growbie and how you decided to start this platform.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So let me maybe just share with everyone a little bit background of Growbie and why I started this platform. So in a nutshell, what Growbie does is that we are a networking training platform. So we teach people how to network, particularly focusing on first-gen immigrants. And as we get more and more users, we also become a network on our own. So you come to Growbie learning how to network and also, get a network from here. So why did I want to start this company? It really stemmed from my personal experience being a first-gen immigrant myself. So I first came to the States about 15 years ago, back in high school. And when I was, entering college, I wanted to break into investment banking. And we all know that, investment banking is one of those careers that require first, like high degree of like social interaction or interpersonal skills. And second, because I had came from a non-target school. And so for me, like I did not have that direct access to the banks I want to break in, say like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan of the world. And back then I was just applying to those internships online. However, I sent out over like 200 resumes in my freshman year summer. I got 0 interview. And that was the point I started to freak out. And I was like so hopeless and thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to be jobless forever. And then I went to my professor who taught finance. And I said, what am I going to do? Am I ever going to get a job in places like Goldman? I went to the career fair. They're not there. I apply online. They don't give me the chance. What can I do? And then he suggested, Jashin, you need to network. And I said, like a Wi-Fi network? Like I am certainly connected on my laptop over here. And then he's like, not that kind of network. I'm talking about building your personal network. And I sat there in silence for like maybe like a good 30 seconds, because it's not that I don't understand the concept of a personal network, but what I really struggle with is if I'm able to build my own network on my own when I was only 18, right? Because before then, like my understanding of networks, I basically got it from my parents. Oh, okay, this uncle worked in this place, like you can go intern with him, or like this auntie knows so-and-so, you go with them. But as I mentioned, like coming to the States, I came here on my own. I was an international student. So looking around, literally everybody was a stranger to me. I didn't know where to warm start. And so my prof told me to reach out to, like school alumni and like grab a coffee chat. And they would magically share all of their experience with me, buy me coffee, and even give me a referral. I was like, this is too good to be true. I do not believe that people are this kind. And so I did not believe him. Like I walk off the office hour, I was like, he was just trying to like make me feel better about myself. So I didn't proceed with his suggestions on reaching out. All the way till like summer, which is around this time, I had no internship. So it's like I really feel like I was like back into the wall. Like, I have no other option but to give networking a try. And so I went crazy. I sent out 500 cold emails my summer. And at that point, there's no ChatGPT, there's no LinkedIn. So I was literally browsing through the alumni directory, filtering people who work in New York, work in financial industry. And I sent out 500 cold emails. They're all customized. So good job, Jashin.
Wow.
Days, as you can imagine. And I started to get response. In total, I had about 100 people responding back to me. And I went to New York about 10 times throughout my summer. So each time I go, I will basically like stack up my meetings, coffee chats. It started as early as 6 a.m. That was with a trader.
Wow.
And as late as 9 p.m., that's with a banker, right? So basically, whenever they have time, I'm there, showing up downstairs in their lobby, right? So running up and down Manhattan. So I did about 100 coffee chat my summer, right? Wow. And my biggest takeaway are the following. Number one, my professor was right. Like every single alum whom I met with told me that, like, Jashin, you're doing exactly the right things. Like, this is how I got into Goldman, JP Morgan, you name it. Because think about networking as a way of marketing and exposing yourself, right? Because you've tried. You tried to go applying for a job, but your resume went into a black hole. So nobody, it's not that you're not qualified. They don't even see you. So step number one is you need to make sure you are seen. And networking is a way to find an internal advocate to vouch for you. I was like, got it. I understand marketing day one. And then the second thing is, you know, people are kinder than you think. And that's really one of the biggest takeaway. And why I want to focus so much on first gen is that they don't know about the culture here, like the networking culture that indeed, like Jeff and I, we met at a party, like, and then this is like, I don't know, 2 months ago, a month ago, here we go. Here's the podcast. And so like building relationship takes time, but I think it's important to understand that here in America, people have that openness to stranger and to kind of lean in to help each other if they're able. And I think understanding that cultural difference was huge for me. It really fundamentally changed about a lot of insecurities or even imposter syndrome that I had reaching out, prior to reaching out to all these people. So that's the second thing. And I think the third thing is that I think networking does get better over time. My first coffee chat sucked. Second one sucked to a point I almost want to give up. But I persist and I push through. And I see all these people being so kind to me, like honestly, like refer me to positions, like mentor me and all of that. And that kept me going till this day. So I know that's a long story to like start in terms of like why Growbie, how I started it. But I myself have benefited so much from it. I mean, look at this opportunity today. And I just really want more first gen to know about it because they wouldn't know where they heard about the concept of networking, but don't know how to work the skill. But this is absolutely one of the most important tool or superpower that I call it to navigate your career and even your life.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Taylor.
That was just, I'm like energized. I don't even, I'm like, it's kind of speechless. I think that's such a beautiful story and experience. And I hope that you've been able to reflect, and I'm sure you have, but feel really proud of yourself. I think it's tough at that age, right? You're figuring so much out. And then, you know, you're getting a lot of different advice from your professors overall. And
that's right.
I know for me anyways, someone can tell me something or explain something, but until I do it, I'm not internalizing the impact and the benefit. You mentioning that the first couple of coffees, first one sucked, second one sucked. That was the same way with me with networking. I was like, oh goodness, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. But you learn and you get to, figure out your way in the world. So I love your story. I hope that you are talking on panels about your story because that's the goal of networking is, growing more knowledge of yourself, growing your network, for career, for knowledge, whatever it might be. Beautiful story. So just round of applause to you. That is such a great background. I did have a question on, and I'm so sorry, the allergy season is really getting to me today. But I did have a question on, so that was the story behind starting your own company. Mm-hmm. When did you launch it? And how has the progression been with helping folks similar to yourself in those scenarios?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. So indeed, the idea of like teaching people how to network has been like my passion, like since my time in undergrad, which is now like dating almost 10 years ago. But, back then, again, it's around this concept of first gen. I just didn't know I could start my own company. Like when I was in undergrad, I feel like my best bet is to work in a big company and like maybe one day become a VP or like CEO or something. That would be a dream. Like never had I thought I can be an entrepreneur. So it's again about not knowing, right? You just don't know what you don't know. But like once I myself like get some traction on success, thanks to networking, for example, in my first real big win through networking was getting into Goldman Sachs for my my junior year summer in the investment banking team. That was my dream job. And it was all thanks to a referral from a BU alum, Boston University, when I went for undergrad. And I really knew that this will work, like meaning network, especially starting early on. So I started to mentor like underclassmates here and there, or people who reach out to me, or sometimes I even collaborate with the school to host workshop. But it's like a community project, if you will. I have time, I'll do it. It's all the way till, so my first job was in consulting. And then my second job working at TikTok. So I joined as an early employee. And I really love kind of like 0 to 1 phase when you're building the company and like realize I myself actually thrive on entrepreneurship. And I thought to myself, wow, like wouldn't it be so fun to be my own boss and create a venture around teaching people how to network? So I started to really like be real about this thought. And so I asked myself, we all know that entrepreneurship is really difficult. What are some ways that I can do to really increase my success rate? Right. And also I know there are different parts of business business skills or toolbox that I want to continue to build. And so I was like, let me go to a business school. I think that would help. And at that time, I always wanted to, come back to Boston and, and HBS, Harvard Business School was my top choice. So I applied. Luckily, I got in. And so I came to HBS with a very clear goal on starting Growbie. And so I started to, pilot this concept in 2022. So that was in between my HBS summer. And we had great traction. Then when I graduated 2 years ago, 2023, I started to work on it full time. So it's about 2 years working on it full time, and it's been great. We have now 3,000 paying customers on Growbie. The thing we're most proud of is all of those growth are through organic growth, meaning we've not spent an ad dollar at all in any campaign. So everything's just organic growth that people really understand, or like people really can relate to the pain points that we're articulating, because I experienced it myself. Like we have very deep customer insights. So we're developing solutions, creating content that kind of hit the nail on in terms of what they're experiencing and why our solution can address that. So that's where we are right now.
I was going to say, that's pretty impressive. 3,000 customers. How did you, clearly there's some word of mouth in there, but what else did you do to get there?
Yeah. So thank you for that question, Stephen. So social media is actually one of our key channels. So I am a creator on this platform called RedNote. Maybe you have heard about it. All the TikTok refugees have flocked to RedNote earlier this year. So I'm an influencer / creator on RedNote, where I create content on there. I live stream too. And so, through that, people discover Growbie, me, and then we kind of funnel them into our, sales channel. So we also have like different products that kind of meet people at different needs, right? So we have the PDF guidebook, which is really cheap, right? It's about like $2, $3, just for them to kind of get to know Growbie, understanding what is networking. Then the next year is this recording class that we, so it's networking crash course, recording, you watch it anytime, anywhere. And lastly, if you want to look for something that's more high touch, you want to have a coach, then you sign up for our bootcamp. So we have like 3-tier products for people to choose from.
Interesting. And are you doing any sort of events as well?
Yes, exactly. So, now that we have like 3,000 paying customers around the globe, we started to have local chapters. So you can imagine like each city is a chapter on its own. So we have a Boston chapter, New York chapter, et cetera, et cetera. So what we try to do is that every month in each of the local chapter, they will have their own event. So for example, this weekend, our New York chapter head is organizing a dinner, and I think 10 people already signed up, which is beautiful. Here in Boston, we're going to start something called Growbie Fridays. So it's actually, like get together over dinner, casual conversation, but pick a topic that is related to relationship building. And even just like first-gen struggle in general here in the States, it is a very tough time, let me tell you that. And so it is a place for community members to come together and bond.
Oh, very cool. Fascinating.
Yeah. We certainly also have online events. So we will have those like Zoom, speed dating events where we connect like-minded people together. So we do different kind of things.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what are the skills that you find that people need the most? And are they unique to first generation immigrants, or are they the same skills that everybody is lacking?
Yeah. So, Jeff, that's a great question, because just last week, I also ran a networking workshop for the Harvard alumni. And the audience for Harvard, like I would say, like probably most of them are Americans, which is different than my usual audience, which mostly are international students. But when I take a look at the pain point, because in my survey question, I asked people like, what are your pain points in networking? Shockingly, it is very similar. It's around, I'm shy, I'm an introvert, I don't want to talk to people, or it's like, oh my God, like, how do I feel like I'm not enough. Like, hey, I'm a freshman, like, how can I reach out to like a managing director or something like that? To, okay, I met Jeff once, like, how do I keep in touch with him? And then to like, okay, how do I build my LinkedIn presence, right? So like shockingly, like people's pain point are very similar when it comes to networking. I do think that it is universal in terms of like the blockers to connect with people. But I would say more uniquely to the audience we're dealing with, right? International student, first gen. I think there's an element of culture shock, culture differences, which I talked about earlier, that I myself experienced, and also just the mindset difference. So let me just use myself as an example, because I think it's pretty representative, right? So let's take a very classic scenario. Happy hour, networking events. On a given day here in Boston, there are like 10,000 of them going on, right? Yeah. And so I feel like, my first time going to those networking events, that would be like my undergrad. It's like probably the orientation related stuff. Or I don't know. I don't remember. And you see this like room full of strangers being together, and they feel like besties already. I was like, wait. I thought we just met, right? I thought we were all freshmen here, right? And then how are they just able to like strike conversation and have such natural flow? Well, at the same time, Jashin is like not hiding. I'm next to the food, like there's usually a table about food and drinks. I'm never left. Not that I'm hungry. I'm just like so awkward. I don't know what to do. I avoid eye contact. I'm just pretending I'm always like grabbing stuff to eat, but like, really, I'm just trying to avoid dealing with people, right? And so I think it's that mindset of understanding that like people desire to connect, period, right? And when you are reaching out to people, it's not that you are like burdening them, right? Because that was the thought that I had when my professor told me to reach out to all these alums who are like working in Wall Street. I'm like, they make so much money, and like time is probably their most sacred currency. Like, why would they spend time with me, a freshman? I had nothing to offer. Like, seriously, right? I just couldn't understand, like, what can I give to them that is valuable so they want to trade their time and expertise with me? But in network, I spent more than 20,000 networkings at this point. What I realized that it is a culture of give and take. People are just here to give back, period. There's really no reason that, oh my God, I want to look for something from this freshman. Nothing. Because we've all been freshmen at one point in our life. And so someone help us. So that's why we're at where we are today. And so that's why for us, we have this natural tendency of giving back, to be part of the culture, right? To part of the community. And so I think it's understanding that culture, people are here, genuinely want to help you, is something that took me a while to understand. And so I no longer feel burdensome when I reach out to help, because I know one day I will be able to help you as well when I can, right? And I'm here, I'm building myself up. And so I think that blocker is probably very prevalent in the first gen community in general, just because they don't know. And once we're able to get them started to take that first step, they start to see the positive feedback on networking. then they're like, oh my gosh, this thing's amazing. I want to do more of it.
Yeah. I think that's so important to highlight. Because I think a lot of people feel that way when they first start networking of, hey, like, I remember when I first started, I actually had that conversation with my boss. I was like, you know, when we talk about networking, we talk so much about give to get, to get. You have to give, And I'm like, I don't have any clients. I just started networking. Like, I can't introduce people. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I have anything to give. And he actually gives you have time.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer I've networked, what I've realized too is I call it the karmic cycle of networking.
I love that, Amelia. Yeah.
It's like, because at the end of the day, you're going to give, someone's going to give to you, but that person might not be the person that you get something back from. It might be the next person who you don't have anything to give to. Like, you know, who maybe they want to meet, I don't know, some celebrity, you don't know them, but maybe, so you can't introduce them, but they gave you time. And then you wanted to meet, you know, some CEO, but the next person. So you all kind of just make those connections and you kind of continue to create this spider web out. So it starts with you and you continue to create these little invisible strings from you to the next person, and your network just keeps getting bigger. So it's incredible that you've been able to, build such a big platform, but also come here and start networking. And I'm so happy that people gave you the time that, you know, I think we're always grateful when someone gives us their time.
Yes, 100%.
But with that, I know you mentioned, you know, you're definitely a little bit more of an introvert. So, and now you love events, but what are your favorite types of events to go to? The ones where you're like, every time you go, you're like, I've got so much value out of this. I met so many great people. Maybe like, what's the format of your ideal event?
Yeah. So I'm actually a big extrovert. So I just
you are? Okay.
Yeah. What I was saying earlier was like, I feel like initially I just don't know what to do, although like I wanted to be there. So it's like you are terrified at the same time, but like excited. So for me, I feel like a good event is an event that's usually like thoughtful in like curation in terms of the topic, right? So for example, because we at Growbie, we actually try to run different things. And our conclusion is that people like to have some sort of themed event, if you will, right? So for example, say you're all interested in consulting, great. And so we're going to have people who are in this room have either done consulting, in consulting, or like aspire to be one, right? So that's their common ground. Or if it's more interest related, it could be something else where like, you know, okay, we all like hiking, fantastic. Then let's all talk about that. So, and the reason behind that is because it has that common ground for us to bounce off, you know, or else sometimes in the beginning, like, especially with small talk, people feel a little awkward. So that's one type. But that's more like professional development in nature. However, the other thing we actually love to do is called speed dating. We've done it both in person and online. So what happened is that, because we all know when people sign up for a networking event, they are here wanting to network. We know that.
Right.
But if you're throwing our students into one room, they're going to be so awkward. They're just like, I don't know what to do. Someone give me some direction. And so you need to almost design an event to feel like, okay, you know what? I tell you to network, not that you want to network, you know? And so you have to have a force structure. So what we do is that in person, we have speed dating. It depends on the number of people. Let's say if it's 12 people showing up, then we might have a group of threes and then 4 groups of them, right? So then you have people count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So all the ones get together, all the twos get together, etc. So we'll let it go on for 15 minutes, 1-5. And then after that, we ring the bell and then we do it again, right? So then in this time, you're going to meet a different set of people. Because our goal when they come to this kind of networking events are twofold. Number one is to have a breadth of network, right? If this event has like 12 people, I want to make sure that everybody's in the same group and you got connected to everyone. So that's one. The second thing is, if we know in this event, 2 of you guys actually have some sort of common ground. For example, Taylor wants to work in marketing and Amelia happens to be marketing right now. We make a introduction right there at the spot. Hey, Amelia meets Taylor. Like, you know, she is right now thinking about getting into marketing. I know you're an expert in that. You know, I think it'll be great that you two have a chat, something like that. And so when it's like facilitated introduction, people like that. And so we want to ensure that when our members finish with our networking events, not only do they have new friends, new breadth of network, but also some depth, someone who they can probably become bestie, maybe in the future. So we're very intentional about our networking events.
How do you kind of figure that out in advance?
So because we ask them to fill out the survey, and we're very big on collecting data, because the more we know about our members, the more customized we can be. So we have their information. That's one. Second, because a lot of those events are run for our bootcamp students, so we know them really well from the classroom. So I know like what they're up to. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I really like the curated nature of different events, right? I'm really trying to figure out how to make things work and optimize and that sort of thing. But that's awesome.
Well, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the time has flown by, which is amazing. This was a really incredible conversation. I have so many more questions. We may have to have you back on another time. But Josh, and I know I said it before we hopped on, that the way we like to end our episode is to kind of go around and have everyone talk about one cool networking event that you'll be going to in the next couple of days or week or up in the near future. And so we always like to let our guests go first. So what's one cool event you're going to in the near future?
Yeah, so I actually have two in mind. The first one is not really like a networking event per se, but I'm going to the Pride Parade this weekend right here in Boston. The reason it's not a networking event, it's a parade, everybody's going to be there, but like inevitably, like we are going to see people that you know. And so I would encourage everybody to show up. So that's the one that we are going this weekend. The other one that if anyone is interested in connecting with Growbie, we are hosting our first Growbie Friday, most likely in July. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me by my first and last name, Jashin Lin, and I'm happy to send more details about our event.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you managed to answer my last question for you, which was how people can reach you. So it sounds like LinkedIn is the best way for people to connect with you.
That's right.
I'll jump in and go next. I actually, tomorrow night, interestingly, I went to business school at the University of Rochester, and they have this event every year called Rochester Connects, where they have both undergraduate and graduate school alums come together and just have sort of a networking event. And they invite certain people like myself to kind of they call us industry connectors, to kind of be like a little more experienced folks. And then they bring in folks who are sort of new to the Boston area, maybe recent grads, et cetera, or doing their summer internship here. And they bring them in and they actually say to us, like, many people, this may be the first networking event they've ever gone to.
Wow.
So I went last year. It was super fun. There were lobster rolls, so like enough said. And but it was just great. Met a bunch of people.
Like the ticket, might want to go.
But anyway, that's my event this week. I don't know who wants to go next.
Well, I think it's interesting. You're bought by lobster rolls, Jeff.
Anything, a lobster roll could find me anywhere. So.
That's funny. Well, I'll go really quick. I think that for me, I've been talking about it a few times and working on this for a while, but a event at Babson, which I'm hosting on Wednesday with the Private Directors Association and Rose & Co. Capital Advisors, but also with the NASDAQ, JP Morgan, and a few other folks like that, larger companies. And basically, we're talking about private capital, raising funds in the very interesting environment we're in right now.
Cool.
Pre-IPO prep, all that kind of fun stuff. And it's looking like it's going to be quite the crew. So that's my event, and definitely looking forward to it. Also, quite frankly, looking forward to having it done. It's taken a tremendous amount of effort. It's been really rewarding in a number of ways, but anytime you do something like that, just the amount of time that it takes is pretty daunting and amazing at the same time.
All right. Who's
I
next?
can go. I'm excited. I will be at Babson on Wednesday, but in the morning. So I am just starting a relationship with Launchpad Ventures. So they have a monthly event. So I will be going to them, listening to, I think there's 4 or 5 different startups that get to pitch in front of all the angels that are part of Launchpad. So it's really, I've been to one of the events so far, and it's really awesome to hear these companies and these founders talk about something that they're passionate about that's probably going to change the world. But B, something that I'm new to experiencing is listening to the feedback that investors have for these founders, and really getting a firsthand education on what investors are looking for and how they're really thinking about companies that they invest in and why they would invest in companies. So that's a part of the whole process that I just don't have a lot of experience in. So getting to sit at a table with all these VCs and angels and listen is really powerful to me. So I'm excited for that event for sure.
Very cool.
Cool.
Nice. I want to hear your notes afterwards because I'm a total nerd when it comes to entrepreneurship. So very intrigued by what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
And Jashin, thank you again. I know Jeff will say in a moment, but pleasure. Definitely want to have you on again. Definitely want to go to one of your events. So I'll connect with you afterwards.
Please do.
Yes, absolutely. But for me, have a couple events. One is just co-hosting a development and projects event tomorrow evening with Crew, Women in Commercial Real Estate. And then Wednesday, I'm going to be in Waltham in the morning. It's called Decarb Summit. So it's for higher ed and private companies are all around like tax incentives, decarb, energy efficiency, all those various topics. So I went to one in New York a few weeks ago. Happy that this one's local, but that should be a really great time.
Awesome. Well, this was an absolutely terrific episode. Great conversation. Love your story. Love everything that you are doing. Excellent stuff. I feel like there's a joint, event or something between Wicked Connected and Growbie sometime in the future. So we'll have to do that. But at any rate, thank you, Jashin. This was amazing, and really appreciate it. And we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Take care, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.